Hi, I'm Richard Maraj, Senior Minister at Unity of Phoenix Spiritual Center, and I want to thank you for visiting our website and for tuning in to today's message. If you feel inspired by today's talk, I really encourage you to make a donation by hitting that button below and making a contribution to this ministry. It'll allow us to continue these messages online and to do the great work we do here at Unity of Phoenix, which is to inspire people to live better lives. So thanks for tuning in, thanks for your support, and we hope to see you at a Sunday real soon.
Morning again, everyone. And a shout out to everybody who tunes in and watches us online. So there was this African king who grew up with a really close friend of his who was his companion. And his friend had this habit, no matter what happened, if it was good or not so good, he always made a positive remark, the same one all the time: this is good, this is good. So one day, the king and his friend were out hunting, and the friend was preparing the guns. And he did something wrong accidentally, and the king took the gun from him and he shot it, and he shot both his thumbs off. And the friend examined the situation, and he looked at the king, and he said, "This is good. This is good." The king flipped out and said, "This is not good. This is not good at all." And he got so angry, he throws his friend in jail. So about a year later, the king is out, and he's wandering in some places he shouldn't. He gets caught by cannibals, and they start preparing to cook him at the stake and eat the guy. And so as they're preparing, they notice that the king doesn't have any thumbs. And as a part of their superstition, they only eat whole people. So, so they let the king go. And so the king's gone, and on his return home, he thinks to himself, "Oh, well, I remember that time when the thumbs got blown off. Hey, that maybe I should go visit my friend." And so he goes to see his friend. He said, "I am so sorry. You were absolutely right. Getting my thumbs blown off was a good thing. Otherwise, I would have been eaten by those cannibals. So I just want to say I'm so sorry for sending you to jail for so long, because that was really bad. That was a bad thing." His friend said, "No, that was good. It was very good." So "What do you mean it was good? How could it be good that I threw you in jail for a whole year?" And his friend said, "Well, if I hadn't been in jail, I would have been with you with those cannibals." So, all right. So, Marcus Aurelius, that was as good as I had this week. I was just really not. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor in 170 AD, said these words: "The most important things in life are the thoughts you choose to think." The most important things in life are the things that you choose to think. So my question is, what thoughts are you choosing to think? What kind of thoughts do you hold about yourself? What kind of thoughts do you choose to hold about life? What kind of thoughts do you choose to hold about your relationships? What thoughts do you choose to hold about the world? And the question is, are you choosing to think negative thoughts and dwell on what isn't working, or the hurt, or the regret, or the pain? Or are you choosing to think thoughts are good, seeing the good in a situation in your life? Are you choosing to affirm and appreciate, or to curse and complain what isn't going as well? The most important things in life are the thoughts you choose to think. Marcus Aurelius knew absolutely that the thoughts we think affect the quality of our lives. It affects our attitude, our belief. It creates peace of mind or inner turmoil. It can create happiness, or it can create frustration and despair. So the question is, what thoughts are you choosing to think? Our thoughts are powerful. In the Proverbs 23, it says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." How many people would agree that our thoughts create our experiences and our realities? How many agree? How many agree that changing your thoughts can change your life? And how many agree that with that old thing of what the mind can conceive and believe it will achieve? How many agree with that? We all do. We believe the mind is the greatest creative power that we have, that what we think, we will attract more of the same thing. So how many people would admit that sometimes you think some negative, unhealthy stuff? How many people know you could do a much better job using the power of your mind and your thoughts to create a better life? And so my question is, why don't we? Why aren't we using this amazing tool and gift and powerhouse called a mind to create the kind of life that we want to experience? I was reading an article by Paramahansa Yogananda, and he was talking about why we don't use this amazing gift of our minds. He said the number one is that we are mentally lazy. That we are mentally lazy. Sometimes we don't want to make the effort to think those thoughts, higher thoughts. That sometimes we just don't have the mental discipline. As well as, we sometimes don't like going to the gym. Sometimes we don't like to think. Sometimes we want to turn on the TV and just numb out. So one of the reasons we don't tap into the power of the mind is because we're kind of mentally lazy. The second one is sometimes we focus on the negative. We spend more time focusing on what isn't working and what we don't like, what we don't have, and what we don't want more than anything else. And focusing on the negative, focus on the mistakes and the things that didn't work tends to suck more of that not so good energy into our lives. The third one is we love to have excuses and blame. We love that. And then even go further of saying how powerless and helpless we are. Because in some ways, we would rather live in a victim consciousness than a creator consciousness. Because sometimes we don't want that level of responsibility. That we'd rather give it away. I got an excuse, it's that person's fault. That rather than just own our actual power. We're afraid to own our power sometimes. And then the third one is we just think mental work is too hard. Sometimes you think, oh man, I got to sit down and plan about what I want and plan ideas about my goals and stuff. And sometimes we don't ever get there. We are just spending so much time surviving, we don't think about thriving and about what's next and what do I really want to seek and achieve. The fact is, as John Milton once said, that your mind can make a hell of heaven or a heaven of hell. And the question, how are you using your mind? And can you use the gift of this mind to create even greater things? Because our minds can attract and be the greatest asset that we have, but it could also undermine and sabotage our success if we don't program it and utilize it well. And that's the one thing I learned in the book, The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. Anybody read the book? A few of us. And one of the things that I love about it, it says that the subconscious mind just picks up what the conscious mind keeps repeating over and over. And after a while, it becomes your consciousness, and life attracts consciousness. That whatever we put in there, and sometimes we don't put some great things. I can't do this. I can't have that. I don't deserve this. I'm not good enough for that. But the good news is we can reprogram. That whatever we're living out of right now, that we can program, we can create new and greater possibilities. That's why I love when Paul said, do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. All of our minds, they're not perfect. We sometimes think a lot of negative stuff. But the good news is we have the power to renew it. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The mind is the most important spiritual work. Remember Paul in the book of Philippians chapter 2, verse 5 said, let the same mind that was in Christ Jesus be in you. That our job is to develop a God mind, a loving mind, a forgiving mind, a compassionate mind, a faith-filled mind, a prosperous mind, that is available to all of us. That's our work, because the mind is the link to God. The mind is the way we connect with the allness, with the mind of God, and open ourselves to that flow, to allow ourselves to have a mind, a Christ-like mind. So we are in week 2 of 4 of Game On. It's our 30-day challenge to build a better life. The mission of our ministry is that we inspire people to live better lives. And this 30-day challenge that Richard and I did about 3 or 4 years ago, we loved it so much, it inspired us to live a better life. And that is by investing 1 hour a day, just 1 hour, on physical fitness, spiritual fitness, 20 minutes for each, then 10 minutes for mental fitness, and 10 minutes for emotional fitness. Are you willing to invest 1 hour to create a stronger foundation to build a more successful and happy life? And the truth is, you need a strong foundation. Sometimes if you don't have a strong foundation, it can't support your dream. It can't support a greater life. So that's what we're doing, is inspiring you for 30 days for a challenge to build a stronger foundation so you can build a better life. Last week we looked at physical fitness. Everybody's done their physical fitness stuff. You're doing pretty good on that, about 4. That's good. And today we want to talk about mental fitness, because in some ways I think mental fitness is as important, if not more important, is how we use our mind. And if we want to improve our mental fitness, the number one thing we need to do, accept 100% responsibility for our thoughts. To accept full responsibility for everything that we think. Because the truth is, sometimes we don't accept responsibility for our thoughts. When we think negative thoughts, we think, oh, that's because of that person or because of that situation. No, everything we think in our mind is our choice and our responsibility. And the question is, are you willing to accept 100% responsibility for your thoughts, which means to accept 100% responsibility for every condition in your life? Wherever your career is, your finances, your relationship, you have to accept 100% responsibility. Why? Because that's what gives you the power. When you accept responsibility, you reclaim your power. When we blame other people, we give our power away, saying they did it. That condition is stopping me from being happy or successful. But when we accept responsibility, we reclaim our personal power. And we reclaim that power by choosing not to blame, by choosing not to put negative stuff into our mind. We are here to guard our own mental house and not let in things of shame and blame and guilt and resentment. And so when we accept responsibility, there are things we choose not to, and then there are things that we consciously choose to enter into our mind. And sometimes, we think we don't have the power, but the truth is that we absolutely. Two things in the beginning. God created you in God's image and likeness, and God said, I have given you dominion and authority over all things. And the most important thing that God's given us dominion and authority is our own thoughts. I am 100% responsible for my own thoughts. We are all 100% responsible. I am responsible for all my thoughts. Together, I am responsible for all my thoughts. I have the power to choose what I think. Together, I have the power to choose what I think. I choose only good thoughts. Together, I choose only good thoughts. I choose only positive thoughts. I choose only loving thoughts. I choose only joyful thoughts. I have the power and authority over all that I think. Together, I have the power and authority over all that I think. I am the power and authority over all that I think. I am the power and authority over all that I think. So my question is, are you willing to accept full responsibility for your thoughts and full responsibility for your life? Because that reclaims your power. It doesn't give it away to anyone, and it gets us to be more intentional and more conscious with how we use this great gift of the mind. The other aspect of it, of being responsible, is not just reclaiming your power and not doing blame, but it's to get more clear about what you want. This is a great mind. It says, ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, decide upon a thing and it will be established for you. So what are you asking? What do you want to seek? What have you decided that you want to create in your life? Many of us can tell people what we don't want, a whole list of, but say, what do you want? And sometimes people get a little confused and unclear. And that's one of the most important things. When it says ask, seek, and knock, it says take time to decide the kind of life you want to have, the kind of relationship you want to have, the kind of feelings you want to experience, the kind of things that you want to achieve, the kind of person you want to become. It's important to get clear on what it is that you want. If life is a thing of cause and effect, it's important that we get a level of clarity, because you don't want to put confused, ambiguous energy out into the universe, because we'll get more confused and ambiguous energy. It kind of reminds me of this woman. She found a lamp. She rubbed the lamp. Genie appeared. The genie said, for freeing me, you can have one wish. You only get one wish, so be careful and be thoughtful about what your one wish is. The woman, without hesitating, said, I want to be irresistible to men. And poof, she became a remote control. So, you got to be clear. You got to be clearer than that. So my question is, a part of your responsibility for your mind is, what do you want? What do you want to create? What do you want to feel? What do you want to experience? And so that's the beginning. Is, are you willing to accept 100% responsibility and to keep out the negative stuff? Is my microphone off? Okay. And so, Jeremy? All right. Okay. So now, what we do is that we are going to then do the three practices that are going to help us use our mind in a greater and better way. And the first one is you got to speak the word. You have got to speak the word. In the book of Genesis, the first words God said are, let there be light. And by his example, God spoke into existence what he wanted to create. That's the power of the word. that your words create your life. So when you say things like life is unfair, things only go from bad to worse, you can't trust people, guess what we attract and create more of? The fact is we can create that all things work out for my highest and best, that I am prosperous, I am successful, I am wonderful, I am punctual. You can put anything you want to that you literally have healthy and harmonious relationships. I mean, whatever it is that you want to speak and create, it is available. Okay. Am I working? Oh, I love it when it works good. Okay, I love it when it works good. So that's the thing, is what words are you speaking and what words do you want to speak into your life? That I'm peaceful, that I'm confident, that I'm creative, that I'm loving, that what are the qualities, what are the experiences you want, and are you willing to bring them to life by speaking the word and speaking them into existence? When I was at a very down and difficult time in my life, my mother gave me the book, The Power of the Subconscious Mind. And in it, it mentioned Dr. Émile Coué, who was a French psychologist and pharmacist. And he used to treat his people with a pill, and he'd say, but say to this, every day in every way, my life is getting better. He is the first one that began what they call, like it's now affirmations, but it was really called optimistic autosuggestion. Optimistic autosuggestion, because he believes that we could talk to ourselves and tell ourselves some great and important things. How many people talk to yourself? Okay, half the room, most. I know there's one person thinking, I don't talk to myself. What's he talking about? But the fact is, that is a great gift that God has given us. Not just speaking the word into life, but speaking it to ourselves. To tell us that I'm prosperous, I'm successful. You ever had to do something like this? You're in a panic situation and say, okay, just stay calm, everything's going to be all right. There is wisdom in optimistic autosuggestion. To speak the words of what you want to create, but also speak to yourself. I had a karate instructor. He once actually made me make a tape of myself talking to myself. He had tell me, put music in the background. I did Pachelbel's Canon. And then I had me talking to my own subconscious to tell me that life's going to be okay, that you can let go of the past, that your future is going to be so much better, just literally speaking to ourselves. So my question is, are you willing to speak the word of the life that you want, but are you willing to speak to yourself and your subconscious to literally fill yourself with the kind of life and person that you want to become? Other interesting thing about the book of Genesis, there's a point at which God has made all these animals, and he's bringing the animals to Adam, and they're bringing them, and he's saying that you get to name them. And whatever it is you name them, that'll be their name, and they will be known by that name. The fact is, you get to name everything in your life. The question is, what are you naming it? When things don't go well, is it tragic, awful, and hopeless? Or is it a challenge that you will rise above and get better from? Think of a situation that isn't going as well as you'd like and ask yourself, what are you naming it? Because when you name it, you frame it and claim it. And we have the power to call it whatever it is that we want. See, anything that happens in life, I figure it can do three things. It could leave you unchanged, it could take you down, or it could help you rise to a higher level. It depends on what you name it. And if you name it an opportunity to learn and to get better, to get stronger from it, then it will change and transform. What's his name? James Allen, who wrote the book, As a Man Thinketh, said that when you alter your thoughts towards things and other people, other things and people will alter themselves towards you. So what you name it actually will reframe it and create a far different experience of what you attract and what that outcome is. Does that make sense, everybody? So let's go to one more thing in the Old Testament. In the book of Joel, one of my favorite lines, it says, let the weak say, I am strong. Let the weak say, I am strong. There's a principle right there saying if you are buzzing at a lower level of energy right now in your life, or maybe in lack and conflict, that even in the midst of it, you have the power to say, I am strong. You have the power to call a higher energy because everything that you desire already exists in consciousness and in spirit. You just have to be willing to let your mind call it forth. Let the weak say, I am strong. Let's say that together. I am strong. Again, I am strong. One more time. I am strong. That's why I love that scripture. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That you have that power That is how strong you are. So think about an area that you're weak, and are you willing to say, in that area, I am strong? Because you've got it in there. Together 3 times, half voice. I am strong. I am strong. I am strong. That is the truth. The question is, are you willing to speak the word? Second thing about using our mind more effectively is that, in the same way you feed your body with good, healthy foods, you get good results, you got to feed the mind some good things. You got to feed the mind good things. And what are you feeding your mind? Everybody ever read the Chicken Soup for the Soul stories? Remember those? Man, people went wild. 500 million copies sold worldwide. Why? Because the soul is hungry for inspiration. It's a stir up the gift of God in you. You read an inspirational story, something magic happens. I remember when I saw Rocky, man, I want to get up and run. I mean, you see things, people who've overcome things, who've achieved amazing things. Why? Because it stirs up what's in us. Because sometimes life will stunt us down, we'll play small, but we read a story, whoa, you want to get up. You want to go after your dream. You want to live an amazing way. So we need to keep feeding our mind on a regular basis. Do you know the average American reads less than 1 book a year? That used to be 79%. It's down to 72%. The most successful people read 1 book a week. Why? Why? Because those who are successful introduce and feed their mind new ideas, new perspectives, new possibilities, new situations. Reading is a powerful and amazing tool for expanding consciousness, expanding awareness, and inspiring and awakening greater things in us. When I was at a difficult time in my life, I didn't read well when I was a kid. Kids used to laugh at me when I read. And it was very, very traumatic. I had to have special reading classes. They had to take me out of class. I had speech things. And they had to pull me out of that. And you remember when you'd make a kid read and they'd go down the row? Did they do that? I would count all the kids and then count all the paragraphs, start reading and practicing the one before it came my turn. Inevitably, the teacher went out of order, and I'd end up reading the one before or after the one I was practicing. It was very traumatic. So my parents didn't graduate from high school, and we didn't read in our home. And so after my accident, when I'm depressed, I thought to myself, well, I should read. I should teach myself to read and get better at reading. And so I forced myself, or encouraged myself, to read the classics. I read The Great Gatsby, Catcher in the Rye, The Sun Also Rises, Of Human Bondage, and I started reading. And then I got a hunger. Then my mom gave me The Power of the Subconscious Mind. Then somebody gave me The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Then somebody gave me the 4 Agreements. And I started getting book after book, and I started getting hungry and hungrier. Because one of the things that I discovered is someone is hungry, that's got a learner's mentality, has a curiosity and desire to get better and to learn and discover. To me, that person will go far. It says in the scripture, Luke 2:52, Jesus grew in wisdom and in stature and in favor with God. And it means that Jesus learned. Jesus studied. He fed his mind with good. That's how he grew in wisdom and stature. Every one of us is here to grow our consciousness, to expand it. The word heaven means expand. That when we expand our faith, expand our awareness, expand our compassion and joy and our understanding, that life gets better. Make sense, everyone? Speak the word, feed the mind, and then see the possibilities. I love the line where it says, where there is no vision, the people perish. And the opposite is, where there is a vision, people prosper. People prosper because it awakens and it brings forth greater possibilities. Harvard University did a study about the power of visualizing when you want something in your life. And they gave a group sheet music and a keyboard, told them to read the sheet music, practice on the keyboard for a couple of weeks. The other group just got sheet music and was told, visualize yourself playing that thing well. They ended up coming back, they both played it well. Not only played it well, but they measured the cerebral cortex for both of them, and it grew at the same level, imagining it than playing it. That the same benefit sometimes from imagining, because the body and sometimes the energy does not know the difference between what's real and imagined, and we can attract greater things. Did I mention Charlie Chaplin? Charlie Chaplin came from a very, very poor family. Was actually one of the most famous, recognizable faces in the world at one point. But he came from a very, very poor family. His father was never around. His mother was committed to mental asylum. He had to go to work at the At the age of 9, he didn't have a great life, but here's what he said. Even when I was in the orphanage, when I was roaming the streets trying to find enough to eat, even then I thought of myself as the greatest actor in the world. I had to feel the exuberance that come with utter confidence in myself, because without it, you go down in defeat. But the point I want to say is that even when he was down, he saw a picture of himself being successful. Jay Leno loved cars when he was a teenager. He used to work at a mechanic place, and one day somebody brought in a fleet of 10 expensive cars, and the guys were sitting around eating lunch, and one of them said, hey, wouldn't it be great if you could be the personal mechanic of the guy that owns those 10 cars? And all the guys were like, yeah, wouldn't that be great to be his personal mechanic? Leno said, no, I know what would be better if I were the guy that owned those 10 cars. Jay Leno owns 286 cars to this day, worth $150 million. And the point that I'm trying to say is that he saw himself as a teenager, and here he, at his age, has everything and maybe even more than he visualized. So my question is, how much are you using your power to vision? What can you see for your life? What can you see? Can you see yourself making 100,000? Or $500,000 or $1 million? Can you see yourself having a fabulous, fulfilling career? Can you see yourself attracting and having a wonderful, incredible relationship? Can you see yourself traveling all over the world? Can you see yourself being a top salesperson? What is it that, whatever you want, see it. Use your imagination. It's one of the greatest gifts that God has given us. Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich said, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it will achieve, regardless of how many times you have failed in the past. So do not let your past determine your future. The question is, you have the greatest resource in the creative mind that God has given you. The question is, are you willing to accept full responsibility for it? Get clear about what you want, then speak the word, feed your mind, and imagine the possibilities. And I guarantee you, it will lift your life to a higher place, and you will truly get better and better and better. God bless you all.